over there or Grip and see if the chat's working on YouTube. It says it's working on my end, but on the phone, being the screen so small, I can't really see it. So I heard a beep. No one's on the live. So 2 people. All right. Unchecked made for kids. I have to close it back out and cancel it again. So I'm just going to let it roll. Anybody who wants to comment can comment in Facebook. Sorry about that, but this is the way it's going to have to be now. We were going to talk tonight about shapeshifters and a little bit about Bigfoot. It has been my over 60 years of dealing with the supernatural and the paranormal. You all know most of my background. Most of it was dark, being growing up Native American and being raised after I was almost beaten to death when I was almost 4 years old by a couple of teenagers. My mother, who was a dark witch at the time, practicing very dark magic. That's 11/11, and I'm talking about this, by the way. That's pretty strange. She wasn't a nice person, okay? But she taught me a lot with the dark arts, especially when it came to shape-shifting ceremonies, okay? And everything that entails. A lot of people don't realize that when you do the dark magic, you open yourself up to the dark spirits, okay, which to say the evil ones, okay? And just like we talked about the big W in Native American lore and the walkers, anything can be brought forth through dark magic, okay? And that includes anything shape-shifting, plain and simple. Anything shape-shifting, okay? When you focus so much of your energy, and you focus so much of your mind to be at a level above a 10. You see, black magic only works really, really well and positively when you have a completely black heart. And when I died and came back at such a young age, and my mother took me and started raising me that way, it changed me. It literally changed me. Yeah, David, I can't go in and unclick made for kids. There's no way possible. It won't let me. Oh, but it'll let me hide the live video, which is absolutely absurd. Unbelievable. Huh. Anyways, we're going to just let YouTube run. Hopefully everybody will understand. I'll have to get on YouTube. I'll have to get on YouTube about it. I don't know what the heck they're going to do, but they've been trying to silence me for a long time. And I think they finally will, because I think this is going to probably be the last time I use YouTube. We'll see. I mean, could be anger talking right now. But as I was saying, it takes a very, very black heart to pull off very, very black magic. Okay. And I was at that point, even as a child. The whole time I was being raised in that manner. My father was a truck driver at the time, by the way, so he was on the road, you know, 6 days out of 7 days a week and nights. So, I mean, we hardly ever saw him. Um, I would see him usually, maybe if I was lucky, 6, 7 days out of each month. So my other parent basically had free reign to raise us kids the way she wanted. And my old man, my father, being the Lakota that he was and being the stoic warrior from World War II that he was, he didn't put up with a lot of bullshit. So when we were kids, I remember being punished sitting outside and having a buffalo skull put across my bare legs, sitting Indian style in the hot sun. That's how we got punished as kids. It wasn't go pick a switch off a tree. It was go put a 55-pound buffalo skull on your legs, bare legs as a child, and make sure you didn't get up. And you didn't get up and move unless they told you. Okay. Some people call it child abuse. I call it teaching. Hey, Kurt, good to see you. There was so much that I can't even really get into that how I was raised. Being Native American, we were poor. So obviously we didn't have the finer things in life. And my dad being a truck driver, not being around, we were more susceptible to the whims of the other parent that was in charge, who already had a dark enough heart that almost at times you would think that she didn't care about her own kids. Um, and I hate to say it that way, but just sometimes it felt that way. But one of the things that she taught me that I never will forget is the shape-shifting ceremony. And the only reason I'm talking about this is because there's so much confusion on social media. People are confusing shape-shifting ceremony strictly being skinwalker ceremony. Skinwalker ceremony is a ceremony that the Dene people and the Hopi and the Zuni and the Ute people and all that, they all used it, okay, and called it that. It was a fearsome ceremony. It was a ceremony just like we would do. It was a blood offering ceremony. We would have to sacrifice something to pull it off. Sacrifice something for ourselves. And usually it was ourselves that we sacrificed. I wasn't proud of doing that. Let me make that very clear. I was a child at the time. I quit doing the dark arts ceremonies when I was about 14. And my parents found religion, white man's religion, I should say. So things changed from there. But that doesn't mean I got out of it. Because once you're in it, you're in it. Okay? Some of the things that I did could do it to an adult, full-grown adult, and make them think that something's standing in front of them that isn't there. What in the hell would make me think that there's not other things out there in the world that couldn't do the same thing? So this is where I want to get into the whole shape shifting. It's something you won't learn from a school book. There are beings here. And I've talked about these beings for a very long time. Gnostic belief calls them the archons. Um, some people call them the Ana of the Anunnaki, the lesser gods. Some people call them reptilians. Some people just call them aliens. Okay? Whether they did a ceremony of the black arts like I did, or whether it was some kind of technological mass hypnosis device that they used on people, which could very well be, to make them look human and to make them look like something else. And until just recently, when I started studying really, really hard and deep into it, when I didn't have technical um, issues, I was actually investigating Aisha. Now, when it comes to eye shine, we all know regular eye shine from abnormal eye shine becomes the wild. Okay. What I'm talking about is, well, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. When you see a Bigfoot with red glowing eyes, when you see a goat man with red glowing eyes, when you see a mothman with red glowing eyes, naturally you're going to assume that its intentions are evil because of the red glowing eyes. And most of the time you are correct. The red glowing eyes are going to be evil. But at the same time, they wouldn't have that ability to have that eye shine. And it's not because they're living in caves in the ground, okay? Because you're not going to have four different types of Sasquatch and Bigfoot and, God knows how many types of dogmen and all that, and lizard people living in the ground together harmoniously, okay? So I think we can keep that out. I mean, they travel probably that way. I know for a fact that some of the ones that I interacted with as a child, they used the underground caverns and stuff to travel just as much as they would streams and rivers and even lake edge. They'll actually walk along the shores of a lake at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning because they know nobody's going to be around. Okay. They will walk power lines. You all know this. Power lines, railroad tracks. Bigfoot, some of them that are like up in the Northwest, that Fred deals with, the buddy of ours, Fred Roll. Hope he's doing good, by the way. Those ones seem a little bit more hardy. They're a lot more aggressive too, by the way. But you don't get very many reports of them having red glowing eyes. You see, I'm a firm believer that from doing the ceremonies and stuff, the dark arts ceremonies for my people and my family, um, I'm a very firm believer that the red glowing eyes are something supernatural in nature. Now, you can call it a demon, you can call it a jinn, you can call it whatever your heart's desires. Okay. Irregardless, it's something supernatural when it comes and you're dealing with red glowing eyes. When you're dealing with the human aspect of our, how do I want to say this, of our shadow government utilizing certain genetic research, it's not hard to get the point where you would see Bigfoot with blue eyes or green eyes. It's not that hard at all. When you're intermixing the human gene species with something else and trying to make a hybrid, which we know that the shadow government does, and it's called Super Soldier Program. We all been in the military. We've heard rumors about it. I've had things come across teletype about it, above top secret. Okay, I've seen it firsthand, reports and stuff. So it's a factual thing. So you got to figure if the shadow government can do it, DARPA, whatever you want to call them, why can't another species that's living here on the planet Earth that's a shapeshifter also do it? And let me tell you something. There is a lot of people out there that talk about the Galactic Federation League, the GFL. Okay, I don't know about any Galactic Federation League, but I do know that there is a lot of species walking this planet that have been here a very long time. A very long time. There are the species that you all know as the Palladians. There is another species that you all know as the Nordics. This is where I'm 99% positive you're getting the blue eyes from and the green eyes Sasquatch from the reports. The ones that, yeah, Marcy, they are. I understand about the Galactic Federation. They yes, they're watchers, but are they the watchers? Okay. I categorize the watchers as the following ones as being the Nephilim spirit that is inside some of these forest people. Okay. I don't like to call them Bigfoot. I don't like to call them Sasquatch. Okay. I was always taught to call them the forest people or Big Brother. Okay. Um, that's just how I was raised. Okay. Now, sorry, it's getting kind of hard for me to talk. Um, the Nephilim spirit, yeah, I could categorize that as supernatural, but at the same time, I'm not going to, because I kind of think it's a little bit, they're kind of the same. Okay. I think the Nephilim spirit can have the ability to be the ones that are causing the red glowing eyes. But I think at the same time that there is also a breed of the forest people, more than likely the ones coming out of Alaska that have always been told to be bigger in the Northwest area, that might have the Nephilim bloodline within them. They may actually be a descendant, a six-finger, six-toed, two-road teeth descendant of the Nephilim. Okay. And not that I have ever experienced that. I mean, I've seen some teeth up close on some of them, and their teeth are huge. They don't have massive canines, for tearing flesh and stuff. They're, the ones. I mean, their teeth that I've seen they're pretty big. I mean, their teeth are pretty freaking big. Our molars can probably fit inside one of their molars. You know what I mean? That's how big their teeth are. But the point is that we don't know everything. Okay, even I don't know everything. Okay. The only thing I can do is relay information to you all. The only thing I can do is let you know what I've experienced, okay, in my research, in my life, and in my interactions and encounters with these beings, okay? And that includes the shapeshifters, okay? A couple years back, I was doing an investigation right here locally, in fact, down by where David is, as a matter of fact. In fact, I was going to get David involved in it, but I didn't. I had reports of reptilian beings living in a certain area downstate from me. And come to find out, it is a shape-shifting race of people that do live right down the road from me. Um, I don't disclose it very much because they're probably not there anymore. They very well could be. The location that they lived at in the mountains was a rental property, so that's another reason why I don't think they're going to be there anymore. But they were more every interaction I've had with every cryptid creature that I've encountered, whether it was through ceremonial purposes or through just regular walk in life. Because once you interact with them, it's hard not to interact with them. Once you're on their radar, you're on their radar for good. That's just the way it is. They may not come up and approach you every time, but they'll let you know you're there, or that they're there watching you. They'll know when you disrespect where they live. They know when you have ill intentions. You see, something that non-native people don't understand is when you're dealing with these beings, these cryptids, okay, is what you all call them. They walk both worlds. They have the ability to walk both worlds. There are certain ones that are almost connected to the Nephilim spirit, the angelic spirit, um, the blood of the fallen. Then you have the ones that have the ability to do certain things because of the way that our government, shadow government, military industrial complex, whatever you want to call them, give these things certain abilities that they genetically, create, okay, through gene splicing and all that. Hi, Roxanne. There is some things in this world that most minds can't comprehend. And I'm being totally honest with everybody. My mind's going a million places right now because I got a million things I want to say, but at the same time, I don't want to confuse people. Interactions with flesh and blood cryptids are a real thing. Interactions with shape-shifting cryptids that pretend to be a Bigfoot or pretend to be a dogman through supernatural means or other types of making it appear to you as a human being something that they're not is real. It's going to take a long time for humanity to catch up to what's been taught to the indigenous cultures around the world. We have been literally raised to respect these things and to not disrespect these things and to literally fear these things sometimes. Unlike me, stupid me, after all that I've been through, I don't fear anything after dying so many times. That just doesn't even affect me anymore. And I think that's why it's pissing the powers that be off. But before I go, I want it made very clear that there are these things out there. These things do exist. They're not just in your minds. Sometimes you'll see them in a fleeting glimpse. It'll look like cattle going from tree to tree. Sometimes they'll be standing right next to you in the line at the bank and you won't even know it. Those are the ones that are shapeshifters that are aliens. They do exist. You know them as Palladians. Bet you didn't know that. Palladian shapeshifters. They have that ability. Nordics have been working with our military in Alaska for a very long time now. If anyone that investigates out of Alaska listens to this or watches this, all I can say is there's a certain mountain in Alaska that has a dump facility deep within it. It was investigated at one time, I believe, by a certain group of individuals, but I don't think they ever went back. It's a deep dump facility deep within the mountain. And it's real. The Nordics are working with them in there. And of course, there's grays too. Grays are a funny type of a creature. I don't even really want to say creature. They're more of a, I mean, yeah, they can mind manipulate. But everybody thinks that grays are these cute little gray aliens that are running around 3 feet tall with big black eyes that are almond shaped and everything. I want you to look at the grays as being like part of a bee colony or an ant colony. Okay? The little grays are the worker bees. They're the worker ants. They're not all biological, by the way, either. They have attributes of AI that has been embedded in them over time. What better way to control a hive mentality than with AI? AI's already got everybody on social media across the board freaking out about seeing certain videos that are being posted. AI's gotten so they can hoax anything. And our own military industrial complex is right alongside with them, hand in hand. These are two things. These are two things that need to be discussed. You don't need to argue amongst each other about the differences, because when you do, you're feeding right into their plan. You see, there are certain people that are being put into these groups that you all are part of to basically keep you off balance, to make your members of your groups argue amongst each other. And just recently, Griff, you know, because I talked to you earlier today, and David, you know too, because we've talked about it before. And I'm sure anybody that follows me on Facebook saw the post that I put out earlier today. That I'm refusing to join any groups, any chats, any investigation statuses over social media with each other. They're constantly bickering about who's right and who's wrong. There's no right and wrong about it. That's what you all don't understand. There's no right and no wrong about it. Shapeshifters, currently in this world, we have about 6 to 7 different types of shapeshifting beings right here amongst us. We even have spider beings amongst us. Yeah, figure that one out. Now, I'm not sure if this being is a source of black magic or a source of being genetically manipulated. But this thing is not cited as often as it's been around. It can make itself look human, but it cannot make itself act human. That innate ability to mimic humans. It's had forever to study. That's why. It knows your ins and outs, your quirks, your fears, which, by the way, is why I tell you all, don't fear anything, because they feed off it. Your own governments have used it against you for hundreds of years, not just recently, hundreds of years. You are all living with so many things that I want to talk about that I can't talk about. That is literally upsetting to me. So Marcy, I see by your comment, you've dealt with them in Oklahoma, or you know about them in Oklahoma. They're not and like I said, I don't know if they're an alien species, but they are a shape-shifting species. Then you have the reptilian shape-shifting species. And then, God forbid, you have the native people that learn these innate abilities through the dark arts to sacrifice their flesh and their blood of themselves and others to transform, to manipulate their abilities to shift into forms of certain animals. With me personally, I never was told I had the ability to shape into something smaller than me. It had to be literally my size or bigger in order for me to shapeshift into it, okay, during the dark arts ceremonies. I've seen, and I've spoke about this a couple of years ago, actually. There was a group of three sisters that used to come to these ceremonies that my mother used to put on. And they literally called themselves the Three Sisters. They were shapeshifters. They weren't alien. They were human. But they weren't skinwalkers either, like myself and my mother. They were something different, something more evolved, something a lot more evil. My mother always called them werewolves. When I saw them change, they didn't have to do a ceremony. They didn't have to give their blood. They changed at will. Imagine how terrifying that would be as a 7-year-old child watching three grown women shapeshift into the most horrific animal you'd ever seen in life. Imagine what it does to your psyche, knowing that these things exist. And you can't talk about it. Because just as easily as I could have talked about it as a kid, I could have easily been the next sacrifice in the ceremony. That's what you all don't understand. You guys don't understand that. I can't comprehend why. There is so much in this world that you all need to realize is real. So much more than what you can see. And I know you sense it. I know you feel it. The shape-shifting abilities, whether it's technologically done through reverse engineering, whatever you want to call it, technical devices that are not actually made from our own technology, but are from other ancient races' technologies, is a real thing. Shape-shifting through dark arts is a very real thing, which I know firsthand. But when you see someone that is not an alien, someone that is not made up of black magic, shapeshift into a 6 foot and 7 foot tall, drooling wolf, you don't unsee it. I don't have long. I can tell you right now that the way I've been feeling, I won't have very long. So that's why I'm talking about. There's a lot of things going on around you that you need to pay attention to. And there's some things that you probably won't ever know exist right next. I probably have said too much about Palladians being shapeshifters, but they are. And like I said, I don't know if it's because they just have that ability to transform like a werewolf would, or whether it was due to some technological device that they had. But I can tell you this. In fact, I will tell you this. When you see them wearing a metal band around their wrist, odds are that's a shape-shifting device. And I'm not talking a watch. I'm not talking a smartwatch. I'm literally talking a metal band about as big as my paracord bracelet here. Some of them have a face on it that's round. You've seen them before. I've talked about them before on the channel. I tried to introduce it to you all as a human battery charger, an Anunnaki battery charger. But those devices I've come to realize are a lot more than just charging your energy. They manipulate your energy on the wrist. So when I talk about shapeshifters, I'm talking the whole gambit. I'm not just talking my kind, the walkers through black ceremony. I'm not talking about just the demonic possessions of the red glowing cryptids that you see, the red glowing night cryptids. And I'm not talking just a regular illuminated eyes. I'm talking like eyes that literally are like looking into headlights. That's how you can tell something supernatural. And again, the feeling that you get when you see something like that is how you're going to determine if it's evil or if it's okay. But odds are 99% of the time you're looking into evil. Then you have the part of the supernatural that I call the Nephilim spirit. They can be classified as a demonic possession, but it can also be a bloodline. It can also have double row teeth, 6 fingers on each hand, and 6 toes in each foot. It can also have 3 toes. You see, the one thing that a lot of people think, especially when it comes to the Bible, in the book of John and the book of Giants and all that, is when they talk about the Nephilim, everybody thinks that it is a regular looking human being just 40 feet tall. Well, yeah, they had some of those with long beards. But at the same time, you have to created other species too mixed with their DNA. Hence the Egyptian hieroglyphs you see, the Ra family. The family of the Rothschilds. Why do you think they put on that ball every year? All those funky masks. Some of those aren't even masks. I don't know, Griff, if it's like the copper bracelets that they're pushing in the commercials. It's more of, let's say, okay, you see the size of this disc, okay? It's going to be a disc, okay? Um, some of them are just going to be the brand, just the plain metal band. But you'll be able to tell. It won't look right, okay? And the person wearing it, they're trying everything in their power to conceal that. They don't want you to see that on your wrist, okay? No more than they want you to see something around their neck that they could possibly have too. The abilities are there. And for us to realize that there is more to shape-shifting than just skinwalkers. Not everything is a skinwalker, folks. Please, please realize that. When you're dealing with blue-eyed beings, as some of the Bigfoot reports have been told, you're going to be dealing with either the Nephilim spirit or the exact bloodline of the Nephilim, mixed with the human DNA or the Palladian Nordic DNA. They 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 have been doing these hybrids for a very long time. So it's not going to be unusual to see orange glowing eyes, blue glowing eyes, fiery yellow glowing eyes. I mean, like brilliant yellow, like headlights shining at you. You'll be able to tell. You know, we were made with certain abilities, senses, but what humanity doesn't understand is we actually have 11 senses. Just haven't had the ability to tap into the others. Once you get that ability to manifest, you'd be surprised at what can happen in your life. Hell, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for manifesting. I would have died a couple of years ago. Anyways, just be careful out there, folks. They're finding out new things every day to do to you. New ways to get you to be afraid. New ways to rob you of your energy. New ways to make you a slave to the system. Like the cattle that you are. Only reason I've been allowed to exist so long is because of my past. Think about that. I've had 3 cancers that should have dropped a horse by now. I've literally had my esophagus removed and my stomach made my esophagus all the way up to my throat. I've had so many opportunities to just die, yet I'm still here. So that tells me that they're either waiting for me to just give up or they're afraid of me and what I know. No other reason. My bloodline alone is reason enough for them to fear me. The blood of Chief Red Horse and the blood of Chief Crazy Horse. Back in the day, that would send chills down anybody's spine, knowing that. And then knowing that my own parent that raised me literally was a native black witch on top of it. And my having the ability to manipulate people's minds being 25, 30 feet away from me. All I had to do was look at the back of their head. That's all I had to do. And just think of what to put in. And I did it without even thinking twice. So when I tell you I have a dark past, I have a very dark past. That doesn't make me who I am right now, though. And that's why I'm coming forward with this. All you researchers and investigators out there, no idea. None what you're doing. I sure don't mean. I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying that to you because it's the truth. You have no idea. There's going to come a time when my voice is silent. There's going to come a time when I'm not going to be around to ask my opinion on things. Not that it matters. Currently, right now, what you're dealing with are powers that you have no idea how strong they are. The kind of evil that they can do to you. I see. Literally lived it. Living in fear is not a choice anymore. You all don't have that choice anymore. It's like I said last week. You can be the shield or you can be the blade. But right now, you got to be the blade. Because being the shield is not going to keep you safe. These powers are growing. Hell, I can feel my own power growing, to tell you the truth. I don't sleep at night, hardly. I can feel when those same powers are being used. That's what makes me such a good person to use against walkers. There is, I don't even know what you want to call it. You call it whatever your heart's desire. But this shape-shifting races, not the walkers. Because technically, you don't have to fear them unless you piss them off in some way, shape, or form. And if you piss a walker off, I'm sorry. You have no idea what you've unleashed. But other shapeshifters, they don't have your best intentions at heart. They don't. They could care less about your life, about your line, about how much money you make, about your reputation. They don't care. For them, you're just cattle. I hate to say it that way, but it's true. We all have no idea. The only thing I can say is with my channel, as much as they're trying to silence me, and I've noticed that YouTube has dropped me a couple times just now tonight. Facebook has got action needed, too low FPS, frames per second rate, I guess is what it is. Yeah, Mike, it goes beyond paying taxes to them, dude. It's so much more than that, man. So much more. I mean, that's part of it. That's definitely part of it. Um, so much more. I wish I could. I don't have enough hours in the day. I really don't. The best thing you can do when you're dealing with a cryptid and you have your doubts about its intentions is to just walk away. If you run, they're only going to chase you. If you turn your back and walk away on them, you're making yourself vulnerable. It's bad luck and walk away. Most of the encounters that you're going to experience out there, from what I've experienced, and again, my own, and also from reports that I've investigated over the years, And I guess you could even group this with the supernatural too, because it's pretty much the same thing when it comes to attacks. Cryptids and supernatural are just like demons. They're going to be attacking at the best opportune time. If they're bum rushing you and they back off, their intent was not to kill you. Their intent was to get you the hell out of their living room. Yeah, Griff. Sometimes those boomsticks don't do the trick though, bro. Got to be careful with them. Sometimes you just piss them off. Unless you got a very big boomstick, trust me. There was a buddy of mine, cousin of mine, that was out mule deer hunting, and he come up on a Bigfoot, and he said, "Man," he said, "I unloaded my 30-30 on it, round after round after round, and the thing just stood there and looked at me." I said, "Oh, okay." Bro, he took me to the location. On the ground were all the shells that he ejected from his 30-30. You see, that Sasquatch, that Bigfoot, or the shapeshifter that was looking like a Bigfoot, put that thought into his head that he was pulling the trigger and actually shooting. And he wasn't. He was expelling the rounds and just standing there staring at it. .30 rounds aren't cheap. They weren't cheap back then either, so we picked them up and took them back with us. He never went hunting again. No whitetail, no mule deer, no elk. He never went hunting again. The very next day, we did the Blood Brothers oath because he was cousin. He wasn't a brother. I don't have any brothers. And there is there's something to be said about the mind control thing, guys. Don't take it lightly. When an indigenous person tells you that they have special abilities, like I always say, I walk in both worlds, and I do. I dream walk. I can walk in amongst the clouds if I want to at night. There's certain ways to do it. It's different from astral projection. Okay, dream walking is literal. Goes. YouTube just died off again and started back up. But when we say we walk in both worlds, that's a metaphor for having multiple abilities. Okay. Some of these things have the same innate ability. I can't, I can't tell you how many stories my father and my uncles told me growing up about how these Bigfoot would just appear out of the smoke of the fire and walk away like it was nothing. So don't doubt when somebody tells you that they might have special abilities. Don't doubt it. But at the same time, I want you to question it, because you need to question to make sure they're portraying itself as a Bigfoot. That's the thing. They're there. I mean, shapeshifters are real. But please, for God's sakes, don't call every shapeshifter a swamp, because we're a completely different breed. We're made of dark magic. We're made of sacrifice. Black hearts. That's what we are. I'm too old now, but you know what? I use what I can to protect the people that I care about. There's several of you out there that know that I've done that for you already. These things are real, and they come in all shapes and sizes, and all ways of materializing right in front of you. It doesn't just have to be a dark medicine ceremony. It doesn't have to be just a transformation from a human to a werewolf. It doesn't have to be alien technology worn on the wrist or around the neck, giving them the ability to make you think you're seeing something different. It doesn't have to be genetically done. There's so many different ways shapeshifters affect your lives every single second of the day. And you just don't know it until you train yourself to determine the difference and what to look for. Then you know. If you come across a cryptid and it has yellow or green glowing eyes, count yourself very, very lucky. Because if you see the other kind, there's no guarantee you're going to make it home alive. It's just the truth of it. Just the truth of it. I want to ask everybody on Facebook, on YouTube, to if they can maybe hit the like button for me as much as you can, and promote the channel that way, since they're not letting you make comments, which is making me very angry. Facebook, you would do the same thing. Share it out. There's a lot more I want to discuss, and hopefully I'll have the time to do it, but we need to see what the Creator has in store. That being said, I'm going to end the live on Facebook. I mean YouTube, and then Facebook. Thank you, everybody watching on YouTube.